Good afternoon, sir. This is the SWOT analysis of our group. So, before anything else, SWOT analysis is a framework for identifying and analyzing an organization's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. This SWOT analysis presents the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats of ASEAN studies as an emerging discipline. So, the first thing that we will be talking about is the strengths.
Number one, the discipline encompasses a myriad of concepts. So it includes environmental, security, development, and peace issues, as well as the individual culture and history of the member states. It also touches the study of religion, society, and even ecology. So number two, fosters the development, acquisition, and sharing of knowledge about the member countries and the way of life of their citizens, and the ways they relate to each other and to the world. So number three, since this new discipline encompasses numerous ideas, including economy and politics, hence it significantly provides opportunities for students to gain new perspective of the economic and political standpoint of each member states. Number four, supports and promotes the development of research, arts programming, public lecture series, and the collaborative endeavors in partnership with programs and institutions in Southeast Asia, the Asia Pacific region, and the United States. So number five, teach culture as theme in class or extra class activities to develop students' appreciation of different ASEAN cultures.
So here are the remaining statements for strengths. So we have here number 7. So due to the integration of this emerging discipline in higher educational institutions, the education system has become both socially and historically unbiased and technical. So because of the integration, students from each member state have established awareness that there is a need for respect and understanding of other member states' social and historical backgrounds. Next, we have here allows students and teachers to study the pressing issues and problems in the ASEAN region. So this is considered a strength of the region because of course these studies would become the solution to address the pressing issues and problems of the ASEAN region. We have also here the next one, faculty and student exchange in ASEAN universities can enrich the curricula at different educational system levels with ASEAN culture in various disciplines such as humanities like theology, philosophy, literature, and history. So faculties and students who have undergone exchange programs can help their country improve their quality of education. The ASEAN may have diversity in so many aspects, but the effort of enriching the curricula would soon unify the standards and competencies of the ASEAN region in terms of education. And lastly, it allows the introduction of visual and performing arts, sports, and scientific outputs of ASEAN countries. So in education, it is also important to expose the students to sociocultural activities, sports programs, and innovation initiatives aside from the academics because this can also help students to develop themselves. That is all.
These are the weaknesses of the ASEAN studies as an emerging discipline. First, ASEAN is composed of its member states, which also hints that this emerging discipline would have a state-centered approach. This can be further interpreted that this discipline can be rather narrow since it does not involve any dealing with the outside world. Second, ASEAN studies have the tendency of delving too much into the country-by-country distinction. Demarcation of colonial boundaries set by each member can basically restrict our knowledge of each member state. Third is there exist development gaps between and within members' income, human capital, institution, and infrastructures, which is detrimental to the implementation and propagation of the new discipline. The fourth one, each member state does not speak the same language. Also, many members do not use English as their official language. And because of this, there is a great possibility that any engagement and involvement with regards to the further development and integration of ASEAN studies in all member states will be affected. Number 5, the disciplines is often mistaken as the study of the region Southeast Asia. And the last weakness is considering that it is a fairly a new discipline, the information included about its encompassed concepts and ideas are considered insufficient and limited.
In here, we have outlined 5 opportunities of ASEAN studies. Opportunities are those characteristics of ASEAN studies along with external initiatives that will put it in a stronger competitive position. Number 1, ASEAN studies as an emerging discipline can become a great avenue to create forums and opportunities through which students and faculty can develop a greater and more comprehensive understanding of ASEAN in general, may it be in the terms of the differences and similarities of the 10 membering states. So, it is in fact true that each ASEAN member has their own specific colonial boundaries, which restrict other members from intervening in their personal relations. And if this new emerging discipline can lift those restrictions through its effective promotion of ASEAN awareness and information sharing, we may be able to transcend these borders, thereby giving us the autonomy to access ideas and concepts unique to each member state. Number 3, the state-centeredness of ASEAN studies as an emerging discipline can become a very beneficial attribute to the whole region as it will enable each member to fully equip their citizens, especially their youth, with strong historical and cultural links, thereby enhancing the ASEAN community's consciousness and awareness of its ties of history, culture, and even bounding a common regional identity while still celebrating diversity. And this diversity can be seen in each member state's socio-cultural aspects. Also, one opportunity of ASEAN studies is that it can initiate educational exchange programs and internships, which is beneficial for both students and teachers from all member states to strengthen their cultural and historical awareness of ASEAN members. And this is actually outlined in the social cooperation of ASEAN, which has been spearheaded by Malaysia. And lastly, ASEAN studies as an emerging discipline can significantly help each ASEAN member state through training and research in the educational, technical, and administrative sphere, which has been one of the many aspirations of ASEAN as an organization.
And now, for the threats, these are the things that can negatively impact or affect ASEAN studies as an emerging discipline from the outside. And in here, we have 5 threats that our group came up with, and these are the following. The first on the list is the shortage of teachers, the lack of available school buildings and classrooms, and an even spread of population in 1 or 2 member states, which can create serious disparities in educational opportunity, hence undermining the goals and objectives of this emerging discipline. Second is that the unresolved territorial and maritime disputes may hinder citizens among member states to engage in ASEAN education-related programs and participate in international forums. The third is that ASEAN countries are not exempted from the impacts of climate change. Evidence suggests that climate change can impact education directly through effects related to the damage to educational infrastructure, loss of educational materials, injury or mortality of students, teachers, and parents, and psychosocial stress resulting from the exposure to extreme weather events. The fourth is the outbreak of COVID-19 virus. The outbreak of COVID-19 virus made difficulties in the delivery of high-quality education among ASEAN member states due to the lockdowns and restrictions implemented by each country respectively. And last but not the least is the security threats. For instance, competition between major powers could affect the delivery of quality education. Students may not be able to learn effectively if they are in the middle of a conflict. And that is all for the threats of ASEAN studies as an emerging discipline.